Hi, it's Stephen here from Sound of an Ocean Wave, and this is day 26 of the November daily draws. So let's see what message we get today. And I'll be taking the first card from the Forest of Enchantment Tarot, followed by an Oracle card from the Forest of Enchantment Oracle. So let's choose our first card and get the reading underway. Okay, here you go. So we have the Wielder of Challenges, which is the Queen of Swords, basically. And the element of air, cold air in this case, with the snow on the ground. And she's got a very serious expression on the face, very stern looking. And the fact that there's snow on the ground and the cold air is quite symbolic sometimes of how the Queen of Swords could come across as a bit cold herself. She's not one to necessarily, show her emotions, put her heart on her sleeve. She's very mind orientated. She's very like a sword as well. She's very sharp to the point sometimes, which can come across as a bit cold and a bit uncaring. It can signify a person like that, so maybe you're dealing with a person like that. But even then, sometimes I feel that the Queen of Swords, just because she doesn't necessarily express her emotions warmly, she's more mind orientated and she's, to the point. She means what she says and she says what she means, and sometimes that can come across as a bit blunt. But that doesn't mean she hasn't got any emotion at all. She's just not. That's not just. It's not the element. She's not. She's more air than water. She's more. She doesn't mean that she's devoid of emotion totally. She's not, and she's probably aware of her emotions, but she may repress them over time to concentrate on her intellectual and her mind and her plans and what she wants. She can be very decisive and deliberate in her thinking and communication. And she's very focused on developing her plans to the degree where, she can expand and nurture her ideas and get them across. She knows what she wants to achieve and she's determined to get it. And maybe we need to have some of that resolve. We need to be serious about our intentions and what we want. And maybe we need to be a bit more clear in our communication. Even at the risk of coming across a bit too blunt, we may have to sort of temper it slightly, but we shouldn't hold back either. The Queen of Swords doesn't hold back saying what she needs to say. And she doesn't feel that she has to justify what she thinks and what she says. It's what she believes, it's what she wants to communicate, and you either like it or you don't. She doesn't apologize for who she is. So, and sometimes we need to have the courage and determination to be ourselves, to say what we want to say, and people will either like it or not. Some people will, some people will just accept it, even if they're not quite thrilled by it. Other people will be opposed to what we're saying. And some people will be offended if we come across a bit too blunt. And as long as we're not being deliberately blunt and offensive, that's where it can be taken to an extreme. But if we're just saying it plain and simple as we see it, then people have to take it or leave it. And sometimes we need to say that. And sometimes we need to accept that other people will say things that maybe, sort of seem a bit sharp to us. But if they're being authentic and genuine, they're not doing it to deliberately offend, but you got to respect the honesty and the strength of character that gives them the confidence to say what they mean and mean what they say. So, and we need to sort of try and emulate that a little. Sometimes we try and surround our words, we try and embellish them and soften them, and sometimes the meaning can get lost in that. We're so focused on not wanting to cause offense. We get too diplomatic in our way of expressing ourselves, and to the extent that sometimes it becomes a little too vague and open to interpretation. In diplomatic circles, sometimes that's good, but sometimes in life, there are times when we need to make it clear what we think and what we want to say, so that there's no misunderstanding and that the people get the message. The message is clear, and then it's up to the recipient of the message to decide how they want to react to it. That is not down to us. If we're trying to speak truth, we're not, as I say, we're not being deliberately, aggressive and offensive for the sake of it. But if we need to say something, some hard truth sometimes, maybe that's needed at the moment. But whatever the case, this is something where we need to perhaps detach ourselves a little emotionally. We're not trying to remove the emotion element from the situation, but we're not letting it be overly influential. We're going more on rational thinking and trying to get to the facts, deal with the facts of the matter and not the subjectivity. So she's a bit more objective and sort of a little bit more removed from the emotional influence. It's the influence where the influence. But the queens are all, to me, intuitive to some degree, and she'll have a degree of intuition, but she will decide whether or not she listens to that or whether it falls in line with what she knows to be true. And if the two line up, she will go with her intuition as well as, and she will clearly communicate her decision. So clear communication, determination, and the ability to be plain spoken so that we're not misunderstood. That's maybe something we need to take on board. Okay, let's see which oracle card we get to go with that. The Froggy Grotto. We've had this before. Sometimes there are all kinds of voices, a cacophony. This could make social media, trying to influence us. We need to know what we believe. What's our authentic truth to us? What is it that we want to say? Don't be overly influenced by others. Yes, listen, but be yourself. Don't try and copy others and follow onto the local trends and everything like that. Be yourself and have the courage to be yourself. And I think, and to say what you want to say and be who you want to be. I think, to me, that is the basic message here. And don't let the cacophony of other voices drown out your voice. If you've got something to say, then say it. Your voice is important and deserves to be heard. And I believe that is the message of the cards today. Okay, so that's today's message. I'll be back tomorrow with day 27. Until then, thank you for listening. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you all again very soon. Okay, bye-bye.